It's not great. We've got Mark.
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm all set. Nothing's on fire. Okay. No, we're good. I'm just waiting to CTN was just having.
Just as a matter of procedure, I'm going to call this meeting of the Housing Committee to order. We're not going to do remarks or anything like that. We're going to immediately recess and wait for CTN to get set up. Thank you.
In progress.
Check. All right. Oh, we good now? All right. Calling the meeting of this Housing Committee back to order. As we usually do, do I have any remarks by my ranking members or my Senate Chair? Awesome. Seeing none, today is another day where we are raising just concepts. These are things for us to consider, make sure that we can hear from the public and get a feel for what we will be trying to do here in the Housing Committee this year. With that, do I have a motion to raise concept number 1, an act concerning utility charges for residential dwelling units?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this one is an act concerning utility charges for residential dwelling units. I don't know if you clarified any more of what the bill might be about. I'm just hoping that we can go through this list and just give the public and those people listening, a little bit more meat on the bill than just or meat on the bone rather, about each of these rather than just the title itself. Not looking for a lot of information, just so we have an idea of what we're talking about. As we mentioned early on, there are a number of these that the Republicans have met and considered to be potentially consentable. So as we get to them, we will certainly volunteer those. I believe this is a consentable item. I think I'm willing to hear it. It's pretty straightforward. It says that a landlord could only charge for utilities to a renter if that unit has an individual meter. I will state that I'm potentially have some reservations because there's a lot of different circumstances that might warrant something like that. And the draft only said utilities, which for me is not just electricity, but water also. So if you have a building that has common water and they're, prorating it, I don't know exactly what we're after, but certainly willing to hear the, from the public on this one. So I would offer for the consent calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion for that to be put on consent?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. I will put number 1 on consent. Number 2, or sorry, is there a motion to create a consent calendar? Excuse me.
Motion to create a consent calendar.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. Number 1 will be placed on consent. Item number 2, an act concerning housing authority jurisdiction.
Motion, Mr.
Is there a
Chair.
motion? Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Senator Sampson.
Yeah, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we'll probably just bounce back and forth on these very briefly. This one looks like a bill that we've had before. Maybe you can confirm that for me, but it seems to me this is the bill that we've had in the past that would open up the authority of local housing authorities to operate outside of their specific jurisdiction. For example, the City of New Haven Housing Authority would be able to purchase or develop in other communities around the state. I've had some concerns over that. I don't know what the compelling reason for them to engage in that activity would be. And I'm concerned about the impact to those other communities and what rights those local town governments might have with respect to that. So I'll be a no today on this one.
Representative Sampson. Representative Scott, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, seems like very similar to the 4 times that we've had this the last 4 years that has not moved forward. My question would be, is there anything substantial difference this time in terms of what you're understanding this bill to be than in the past 4 years? That'd be question number 1, I guess, to you.
It's only a concept at this point. I would say that from our perspective, this is the beginning of the process and we're willing to compromise from whatever place we were at when we last heard this bill.
Thank you. And then keep in mind that this can be done right now. Any housing authority can go into any other municipality, negotiate to do that, an individual contract between them. They have that ability to do so right now. What this is going to do is open it up to where that other municipality doesn't have that flexibility to say no. This is something that they can come in and do without the other municipality being agreed to do it. So I will also be a no today, and just like I have been the last few years on this bill. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Any other questions or comments? Representative Weir.
Thank you. In addition to, because I'm hearing that we're seeing the same concept or the same bill, maybe the same language, not sure, but it's similar and it appears similar. I'll just take the comments from my 2 colleagues. I'll also add that this is historically, that I've been, the past 2 years, we've seen 1 housing authority in the entire state of Connecticut is pushing for this. 1. I have done work for lots of housing authorities. There is an entire housing authority association, Con Narrow, In Connecticut, the city of New Haven is not a member, not an active participant. And this is historically who we've been seeing as one. So I want to remind that this is not an epidemic, that any housing authority, any two housing authorities can already enter into an agreement willfully and without this legislation. In this case, the city of New Haven, their housing authority is looking to go into other jurisdictions by right without having to enter into any agreement. So just want to, the number is one that we're talking about. Thank you.
Just to clarify, the number is one in terms of the amount of housing authorities that have come and give public comment in front of this committee. It is not the housing authorities who have come to us as either chairs or members and asked for this. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a
Representative
question.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, who is the housing authority that is pushing for this? When he says only one,
He had mentioned New Haven.
New Haven is the one is pushing for this. So that means that New Haven can come to Hartford and have an agreement with Hartford Housing Authority, so they will have that right.
This bill is not fleshed out yet. In past years, there have been limits as to how far out a housing authority can go. It's not written yet, so there's no way to answer that question.
Well, I might vote yes to get it out of committee and find out because I want to hear something about this. I don't like it, but I'm going to vote for this just to listen to the comments of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll put it up for a roll call vote.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 2. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott. Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Brown,
Brown is yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler is yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez,
Yes, but with the right to change later. Thank
Repres-
you.
thank you. Representative Hall, Senator Hockadell,
Senator Hockadell votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Representative Jensen votes no.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Sweet,
Yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to hold votes open until 5 p.m. Today. Item number 3, an act increasing the reimbursement percentage for school building project grants for municipalities that meet certain affordable housing thresholds. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Representative Scott.
Real quick, Mr. Chair, and from my understanding, just from going through screening and just talking about this bill, it's tied to allowing municipalities who have met the threshold, which is probably going to be the 10% threshold, that correlates to 830G. Those municipalities will be able to get some increased funding to help with some of the schools in their district. That's not something I would be very supportive of, but that's something that what the bill is going to be about is basically some kind of threshold meeting, and you're going to be able to then to those folks be able to get some money. While I do agree that is a carrot, and that is a carrot right now, getting to 10%, and who's at 10%, it's a carrot to certain people and not necessarily a carrot that's realistic for a vast majority of municipalities who are not even close to the 10% or are going to be at whatever the threshold is going to be set. So just want to make it clear that I know some of the folks on my side that are just going to be frustrated with that. From that standpoint. So just want to put that on the record.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just figured right now might be a good opportunity to just put in the usual caveat about what we're voting on, which is we're voting simply on hearings. To the point of a couple of the recent remarks, we're voting just to advance these concepts for a public hearing. And, a vote in favor of hearing the concept is by no means a guarantee that someone is going to support that language going forward. We'll see how it plays out. Thank you.
Representative Zulo on Zoom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to piggyback on the good senator's comments, yes, what we're doing today is voting to raise the concept to agree to hear something. Just want to point out, sometimes we vote for things or don't vote for things to flag them. And this is a scenario where I'm voting no on this because I think it's a very dangerous precedent and concept to advance. It seems relatively benign, but when you think about it, you're conditioning, acquiescence to housing development and zoning regulations. And what you're doing is you're saying, well, we're going to now influence how we're going to provide for the education of our children based on how we want towns to zone and provide for housing. And I think that's really dangerous. You can condition, acquiescence to things on a lot of different things. But I think saying, hey, we're not going to fund legitimate needs that you have in your district, like school construction, because maybe you won't or can't get to 10% affordable housing stock. I think that's a really dangerous message to be sending, especially for towns that are alliance districts. There are a lot of towns out there, not just towns like East Haven, a lot of small cities, a lot of other towns that are alliance districts that have no chance to get to that 10% threshold. They need education funding more than anything to put facilities in place to make sure that they could do better for their children. And I think that conditioning funding for school construction on getting to a certain affordable housing number that they may never be able to get to is really dangerous, really unfair. I'm not usually this, closed-minded when it comes to just being willing to hear something, but I think this is something that's so dangerous that it warrants a no from the start. So I appreciate the indulgence. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question. Is this bill eventually going to be referred to the Education Committee?
I am not sure because this is it might be referred to bonding rather than education because it has to do with school construction.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Weir.
I just want to raise some concerns on the concept as we see it now. And I know that obviously through this likely going to pass out of here today. But coming from Eastern Connecticut, we have some of the highest poverty rates in the entire state. And you might not think of it that way, but Eastern Connecticut, pockets of Eastern Connecticut are incredibly poor. And even the more affluent communities in Eastern Connecticut do not have some of the same access, or geographically it's impractical to have some of the infrastructure like public sewer, public water, many of the utilities that support a larger scale affordable housing project. Never mind affordable, a larger scale apartment, you could say market rent, luxury condos or luxury apartments. Many of my communities do not have the infrastructure or the geography. We have wetlands, high water tables, no public sewer, no public water, ledge, lots of topography that we don't have a lot of flat land. So it's not for lack of wanting to do some of these initiatives. It's an inability. It has nothing to do with zoning. It has an ability to do with resources available. So when I look at this and I think of some of my affluent towns and also some of the towns that aren't so well off, they have the potential to be penalized by a proposal like this. And we've seen similar things proposed in the past, all for reasons that we don't control. I don't control how steep the grades are. That was created by the glaciers that came through here. And I don't control the fact that our land doesn't support public water, public sewer. So I think there's a reason some of the, there's a lot of my towns, we would like to have those, where we have a lack of supply of water. In Hebron, we can't develop more commercially. We have a tremendous need for commercial development. We don't have it. And the other thing is we lack transportation. No bus stops, no reasonable, if you don't have a car, you're not getting around. So for that reason, I'm going to flag this as no. I think this is, once again, bringing a hammer to us. We need to be more thoughtful. And I know we'll have more discussion on this. I meant to keep those remarks brief, so thank you for indulging me.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions? Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like the bill, but I would like to know how you define in this bill affordable housing.
Affordable housing as defined in 830G, which is in my estimation, deed restricted housing or subsidized housing.
So that's dependent on the salary, and it gotta be a low salary.
No, it's the price of the housing. So it's deed
Okay.
restricted or subsidized. So either it is built at a certain level where it can't cost any more than what it is deed restricted to,
Okay.
or it is subsidized by something like Section 8 or
Section 8.
time to own, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll have the vote by roll.
This is a roll call vote on item number 3 on today's agenda. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
before we continue, members who are voting on Zoom, please make sure that I can see your face when you cast your vote. Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Senator Anwar, can you please turn on your camera?
It is on.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, it didn't pop up for us.
Like the picture of this journey.
Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockedal,
Senator Hockenell votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Representative Jensen votes no.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Sweet,
Rep. Sweet is yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No?
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 4, an act establishing a grant program to create affordable housing developments with certain deed restrictions. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Sorry.
Representative Scott.
Only discussion would be that we can put this on consent. I make them allow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Number 4 will be placed on consent. Item number 5, an act including accessory apartments in the calculation of the threshold for exemption from the Affordable Housing Appeals Procedure. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Representative Scott.
Just real quick on this one, this is for the ADUs that that could be calculated into the affordable housing, calculations. There are a lot of houses that have these ADUs that aren't considered into that calculation, that I think it'd just be beneficial to open up that and maybe give a lot more incentive for municipalities to want to count those and calculate those and bring them into the fold so that we can actually have those units out rented to potentially lower income folks, because they usually tend to be smaller. So I think this is something that is interested. I'm really interested in hearing, and I appreciate the chairs allowing this one to come up. I appreciate it. And this
Thank
one
you,
can also go on
Representative.
consent.
Number 5 will be moved to consent. Item number 6, an act appropriating funds for the construction of tiny homes. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just looking at this concept, I'm curious. I have in my notes that this is for temporary housing. I'm just wondering if you can confirm that, number one. And then I guess my other question would be just whether or not this is, properly before the housing committee. I don't know, part of me, obviously it's an appropriation, but I mean, I almost feel like it's maybe a planning and development type situation because it really has to do with the placement of these tiny homes as well. Just curious if you can provide any more information about this proposal.
The statement of purpose for this is yes, for it to be temporary housing. The reason that it is under our purview is because this will be administered through the Department of Housing.
Understood. All right. Well, that makes sense. And I'm certain we're going to have a hearing regardless of what happens today. Although I have significant concerns about first off appropriating funds for this process. I don't recall anything in the statement of purpose offsetting the expenditure, which is number one concern of mine anytime we're going to add another appropriation for the state. And the concept of tiny homes is great, but for temporary housing, I mean, it sounds to me like that these are going to be placed throughout the state as a means to house. I don't know, but I wouldn't call them homeless people. And they'll cease to be homeless once they're in temporary housing, I guess. But I just will communities have an opportunity to interject, or is this something that is likely to happen without the consent of the individual municipalities? That's the number one question on my mind, and that's why I mentioned planning and development as well. So based on that hesitation, I'm going to oppose it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Scott.
Yeah, and I was just checking with LCO. I'm going to be supportive of this concept. I'm interested in tiny homes in general. I think they're a very interesting way to get to the affordability. They usually tend to be a little bit more affordable. But my question is, and I asked LCO, I don't know if there's a definition of a tiny home in statute right now. Is that something we're going to be defining and doing within this bill?
If there isn't a definition, we definitely should come up with one. I don't think that we should be as broad as possible with spending $10 million. I know that in this bill, it says that this can be for temporary housing. I would love to hear the concept further just to talk about what we can do for something like a rent to own program. Like it's an interesting concept. I think we should hear it. Any other questions? Seeing none, we will ask for a roll call vote for item number 6.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 6. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Brown is yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall. Oh, excuse me. Senator Hockedal,
Senator Hockenall votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Representative Jensen's no.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez is a yes.
Representative Sweet,
Sweet is yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No.
Representative Zulo.
Rep Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, an act including workforce housing and the calculation of the threshold for exemption for the Affordable Housing Appeals Procedure. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Representative Scott.
Yeah, really quick. We did have that forum earlier today, that meeting, and we did hear about, of course, affordable housing, 30% or less is something that we need to be focused on. But I think workforce housing up to even 80% they were talking about would be helpful. I think this is another incentive way to potentially doing that. I think the business community would be very supportive of this to make sure they have housing, especially in and around those bigger businesses throughout the state. So I'm interested in seeing how this comes out in the in a public hearing. So I do appreciate the chairs allowing this to be brought forward, and we can put this on consent. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any opposition anyone opposed to this being put on consent? Seeing none, we'll place on the consent calendar. Item number 8, an act establishing a task force to study municipal penalties for landlords for health and safety violations. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very interested in this concept. This is similar to a bill that I put forward. We have a lot of conversation here about how various landlord-tenant relationships are working out around the state. And there's always the conversation about, maybe some landlords that are less than perfect, and the resulting damage done to those tenant relationships. And I'm certainly interested in that. I've never been someone to want to give a pass to bad landlords or folks that are absent and letting their properties decline and their tenants having to deal with a lot of drama as a result. But there's also situations where I think that some municipalities have taken a very aggressive approach. The city of New Haven, for example, I mean, almost weekly there are articles in the newspaper, discussing the various impact on housing availability in the town of New Haven as a result, or city of New Haven rather, as a result of some of the penalties. I spoke with someone just recently who, I think their story was actually published in the paper, where they had, a relatively minor violation, and when the inspector came, they kind of piled on them, and the penalties can become exorbitant very, very quickly. Instead of the landlord having the opportunity to address the problem quickly and get the unit, fixed and back ready for the tenant, and everybody's happy, now you've created an impediment to that happening, because the landlord's being so adversely impacted financially that no one's benefiting. That the tenant doesn't benefit, the landlord doesn't benefit, and neither does the town as a result. So I think it's the kind of thing we really got to have a public hearing about, so we can hear all perspectives, so we can right size what kind of penalties should exist, and make sure that we're actually going after people that are misbehaving in an appropriate way, but we're not too hard on people that are trying to do the right thing and get sorted out. So I'm looking forward to hearing this, and I offer this item for consent as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any opposition to this going on consent? Seeing no opposition, this will be placed on the consent calendar. Item number 9, an act prohibiting the eviction of a residential tenant for non-payment of rent if the landlord's online rental payment system prevents such payment of rent.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Representative Weir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm curious, we know how widespread this is. I've heard of a lot, we've heard a lot in this committee over the past 3 years, and this seems to me to be completely new. I just, and knowing that evictions, it's such a long process, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what we're trying to achieve here. Do you have any examples or more information?
I have no personal examples. I know that this has happened at least once, but I'm not sure how often this happens in the state of Connecticut now. Any other questions? Representative Zullo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the indulgence. Just very quickly, in my limited experience, I am aware that in a lot of rental situations, landlords make online platforms available to tenants for the purpose of making payments, and that it's often a condition in the lease that says that if you default, if you fail to pay, that your access to those platforms can and will be suspended, because the matters are often turned over to legal counsel. And a lot of times what happens is associations don't want tenants circumventing paying legal counsel and paying online. So they suspend the privileges of being able to pay and look at their account online, because they frankly want everything to go through their attorneys. A lot of the times the collections of these debts are governed by the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. Associations don't want to be handling them directly because they don't want to violate that act. So, they turn off access to that. So I would be wary of supporting something like this only because I don't want to meddle in the internal affairs of associations. I don't want them violating other laws that may be applicable. And so for that reason today, I'll be a no. But I do look forward to hearing about it because if there is a problem with some bad actors, we do want to close those loopholes and make sure that we do protect tenants from bad actors in these types of situations. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions, comments? Representative Gonzalez.
I got a question. This is only, just to be clear, this is only for the tenants that want to pay the rent on time, the rent online. This is only for that.
Yes.
Or just, okay. So because if I want to pay, let's say directly with a check, that's not going to be a problem.
It would not be affected, no.
Okay, it's not going to be, thank you. Yeah, because we know there's a lot of people that maybe they don't own a computer, they don't know how to navigate in the system. We don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, I would assume that this is more for tenants and landlords who may be far distance away. So
Okay.
delivering a check might be a little bit more difficult.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the vote will be taken by roll.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 9. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston, Senator Anwar.
Senator Gaston votes yes, sorry.
Thank you. Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Brown is yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockedal,
Senator Hockenell votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Yes.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez is a yes.
Representative Sweet,
Sweet is yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zula votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to item number 10, an act establishing a radon mitigation assistance program for low-income homeowners. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Nothing more from us except for this going on consent.
Is there any opposition to this going on consent? Seeing none, we will place item 10 on consent. Item number 11, an act appropriating funds for housing to state-recognized tribes. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or discussion or comments or questions? Representative Scott.
I do have a question. This seems like a pure appropriations bill. Like it's literally asking for dollars and I don't know anything else. Is there any reason why it would be within housing, especially since it has to do with tribes, but also since it's literally is asking for appropriated dollars?
I think like other bills that we've seen that have appropriated dollars, I think there's a component of this that may go through the Department of Housing. But other than that, I would agree.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Sorry. I will, I'll let you go. Mr. Roberts next is, I just want to say it is on consent. I just had that question. Yeah.
Representative Roberts.
I think that from my terminology is to survey the land, site plans for development of housing on the actual lands of native lands. So that's why.
Any other questions or comments? Any opposition to placing the item on consent? Seeing no opposition, the item will be placed on consent. Item number 12, an act exempting the income earned by a child of an applicant from the calculation of gross income in consideration for participation in the rental assistance program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So, I mean, the title of this bill, certainly seems very reasonable. This effectively, it implies a situation where you have, children in a household and they, have a certain amount of income because they've begun working. And that shouldn't, necessarily impact their ability to participate in the RAP program. And I'm completely in agreement with that, although looking at the bill, it would suggest that it includes people who, in my opinion, are adults up to 26 years old. So, I mean, I don't want to end up saying that we're going to include someone who's, an Instagram, influencer who's making millions, and yet the family's still getting their RAP benefit. So, I, I'm just hopeful that, when we have a hearing on this topic, that we kind of fine tune, a reasonable, set of circumstances that it applies to. And that's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions or comments? Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, I think the intent is laudable, and I probably will be a no today because of the couple of reasons. But I think if we can have a discussion where we get to an age threshold, when I think of, we're able to vote, we're able to join, the military considers 18 to be an adult. If that's what if that's the threshold we're talking about and not 26, I could see myself getting on board, as well as some sort of a reasonable income threshold that, doesn't penalize somebody for working. We want to encourage that. At the same time, we want to make sure that we, just define what type of an income threshold is going to not push us over the limit here. So I'll be a no today, but I can see myself warming to this if we can get into tightening up those couple of windows. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative, and I will assure you what we're doing over the next couple of weeks is all discussing and figuring it out. So we'll have that discussion when the public comes before us. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we will take this vote by roll.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 12. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is yes.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockenell,
Senator Hockenall votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Yes.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Sweet,
Yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
Weir, no.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 13, and that concerning the Connecticut Fair Housing Authority of Connecticut Opportunity Map. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, nothing more than we can put this on consent.
Is there any opposition to this item going on consent? Seeing none, we will place item number 13 on the consent calendar. Item number 14, an act eliminating certain funding provisions from the Healthy Homes Fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Representative Scott.
Can you explain to me the Healthy Hopes Fund? I'm not familiar with it all. Just, do you have any knowledge of the fund itself? I think I'm understanding that we're going to be removing it or whatever, but I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
I heard of it the same time you heard of it, Representative, but we'll hear about it a little bit more. Senator Sampson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I can certainly share that the Healthy Homes Fund is the $12 tax that has been added to home insurance policies going back, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. It has expanded from just covering crumbling foundations to some other items over the years. I'm going to support this today, even though I'm adamantly opposed to that hidden tax being on homeowners insurance. But I think just opening the door to have a conversation about how these items are treated, I think is important. Maybe we can find a better mechanism. Recently, I was actually interviewed because I have a bill in to remove that hidden charge from home insurance policies. And it was implied that I'm, attempting to eliminate funding for various things, but that's not the case. The vast majority of funding for crumbling foundations comes from bonding, and I'm okay with that. And that's an appropriate mechanism for us to provide funding for such things. For me, you don't put hidden taxes on home insurance bills. You don't put hidden taxes on electric bills. And but this will give us an opportunity at least to determine what this fund is paying for, and maybe we can, in fact, come up with a better mechanism to fund those projects. But I'll leave it right there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd offer this item for consent as well.
Is there any opposition to placing this item on consent? Seeing no opposition, we will add item number 14 to the consent calendar. Item number 15, an act requiring a municipality to include certain information in its affordable housing plan. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, discussion? Representative Weir.
And I know that this is just a concept, but I got to tell you, just the third word in there saying requiring, that's something in here that obviously gets piques my interest, as it should for everyone in here. That we're talking about an unfunded mandate when we have require, that we're having, we've got 169 towns and municipalities in the state, each acting on their own accord, and they're self-governing to some degree. And every time that we put forth a proposal that says shall, must, requiring, it's an unfunded mandate. Well, it's a mandate for sure. And then we, if it's funded, we can talk about it. So I'm a no today. Maybe there's an offer in here to throw some money towards the municipalities in exchange for, requiring a municipality to include certain information. But will be a no today if we're not offering anything in return for added cost to municipality. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on item number 15 by roll.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 15. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson's no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Brown is yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockedal,
Senator Hockedal votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Representative Jensen votes no.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Sweet,
Sweet is yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No.
Representative Zullo.
Rep. Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 16, an act concerning protections for residential tenants. Is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just hoping that you can shed some light on what exactly is included in this bill. The title says protections for residential tenants. I'm just curious what they are.
There are 6 sections in this bill so far. One is a copy of ledger. It's disputes about the tenant owns in regard to late fees or fee assessments not being uncommon. It's getting a landlord to provide a record of the items for which the tenant is being charged and the payments that are credited. Number 2 is crediting current payments to rent. I understand this to be that sometimes landlords will be charging late fees when a person is behind on rent for a couple of months, and then they'll catch up and get to where they're kind of within that last month, but they'll charge us a late fee for as if it was the rent from the month before when it's really the rent from this current month that they owe. 3 is surcharging for monthly rents, um, which is, leases that have high price differentials for long-term lease and then giving the notice to renew or vacate. They just think CT Legal Services believes this is inappropriate and unfair way to leverage the result the landlord wants. Fair rent commission notices, basically giving people the right to know that their fair rent commission exists. And then 5 is a voter registration, basically uh, giving people the option to register to vote when they rent a new property. And number 6, sorry. And number 6 is trying to mitigate the unfair and deceptive marketing of leases.
Thank you very much for those answers, Mr. Chairman. Some of those items certainly seem reasonable to me. Asking for a record of where someone stands as far as their current lease agreement goes, as far as payments and things. That's perfectly reasonable. I don't see why anyone wouldn't be able to provide that already under current circumstances. But I wouldn't object to such a requirement. This notion that a landlord should apply any monies that are received to the most current month, I do take issue with. If someone is perennially behind to the point of finding themselves in default or violating the lease, that would basically prohibit the landlord from taking any sort of action towards an eviction because they could essentially say, well, I'm current, and I think that that's the design here. And I think that's just not fair to the landlord in that particular case. I didn't really understand the surcharge differentials that you mentioned. Are you referring to how much a landlord might charge for a month-to-month arrangement at the conclusion of a regular lease versus the amount of rent during the lease? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And then some of the other items, I mean, I don't mind necessarily some sort of notice requirements, but getting to the point of requiring that a landlord's be responsible for providing a voter registration card to a tenant, I mean, I just don't think that's their job. I mean, how much is the state going to pay the landlord to perform that activity? I don't think that it's appropriate to be making employees out of citizens, regardless of what their position is. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I'll just say a couple things about it. I mean, the title of the bill says an act concerning protections for residential tenants. And, some people might consider those protections for tenants, but I consider them also to be impediments to doing business and, more of an impact on, housing providers that might discourage them from wanting to engage in the activity. This is the theme of this committee this year, which is, we supposedly have a significant housing shortage. Although, I mean, I think it's somewhat debatable. The vacancy rate in the state I heard today was 7%. I don't know that that's a crazy number. I know personally that there's a great number of landlords out there that are just not listing their property publicly. They're very concerned about the impediments to offering housing in the current marketplace, and they're holding off or they're changing their mind. I've had conversations with other members of this committee. Everyone likes to point out that I'm a landlord as if I'm some big wealthy property overlord or whatever. The fact is, I own a couple of small single family houses in Waterbury that I didn't pay very much for. I fixed them up and I rent them out, and thank God it's what helps subsidize my income so I can continue to come here and fight for the things that I believe in and for my constituents. But the fact of the matter is that, if it gets any more difficult to be a landlord, I'm going to take those single family houses and sell them, and they will be returned back to regular housing. People will purchase them, and they will no longer be rentals. And, that's just, I'm one example of thousands of other people in this state who are very concerned about continuing in that industry. And I just think when we continue to put forward policy like this, even as a proposal, let alone passing it, you're sending a message to that industry that they are not welcome in this state, which I would say is very interesting considering the governor's comments about inviting the undocumented alien population into the state. They're welcome, but landlords are not. If we really want to see housing in the state, then we should encourage people to want to engage in that activity and produce more housing and offer more housing and give more opportunities. If you do that, you increase the supply, that will drive rents down. These things only drive rents up and limit the availability of housing. And I don't like, as I've mentioned several times before, I don't like the idea of voting on something that is got a title that has some sort of bias built into it. You could title this bill a number of different ways without putting someone in a spot of having to vote against, allegedly protections for tenants. And I don't like to see those things in the committee. It's hard enough when we vote on concepts because, and I'm sure we've made mistakes today. We've seen concepts come up. We ask questions about what's in the thing, but it's very nebulous about what's going to ultimately be in the bill. So maybe if someone was watching and they saw me or anyone else vote no on any of these concepts and were puzzled by why, then I would encourage them to recognize that we're more fearful about what we see as potentially going to be in the final proposal rather than, just the title that we're looking at here today. So I just wanted to get those couple of things on the record, that we're doing the best we can, and certainly those of us in the minority, we're not going to have any control over what's in the final bill. So certainly, even if we're somewhat amenable to a proposal, we're going to have concern over what the ultimate language is and what the details are at the end of the day. And with that, I'm going to be a no on this item just because I think it's a bridge too far, even though I would support a number of these items on their own. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the good senator was being kind in his description of a mixed bag. I think every one of those six concerned me for one reason or another. And to the point of giving the impression that we're not welcoming to housing providers in the state. We talked about this in the last meeting, and I'm not so sure that the housing, well, we certainly could stifle the housing market. My concern is we hear almost every time we're meeting in here about the bad actors and the out-of-state big bad landlords who absentee, right? And we know generally who those companies are. We know that they generally don't treat their tenants, their residents well. They don't treat the properties well. And it causes aggravation for most, first and foremost, the people living under those conditions. And it causes issues for us here in Hartford trying to decide how to address some of this bad behavior by a handful of property owners. And my contention is that, the more we put forth proposals like this in a state that already has some of the most punitive, the regulations on housing, we have some of the most punitive, tenants have the most protections out of almost anywhere in the country here. So if we're going to say we're going to add more protections, I think that comes at the risk of inviting those, you flush out the well-meaning, well-intentioned property owners and housing providers who are providing quality housing today. And they say, look, this is too risky. I'm not going to risk losing some of my rights of my property. And then they end up selling to the same landlords and the same housing providers who are causing us concern today. The people from out of state absentee are saying, I'm willing to take that risk because I don't care about my residents and I don't care about my property. As long as that rent check comes in, those are the people that we're concerned about here. And hearing what I heard today, I think we're going to be more inviting to that caliber of housing provider instead of working with the quality housing providers who show up and testify at these. But we never hear, and during the public hearings, we never hear from the troublemakers. We never hear from the bad apples. They're in hiding, hoping that some of this stuff doesn't pass. And we hear from the people who care, and we should be engaging with them more to figure out how we can make this them more willing to invest in Connecticut? What's going to cause them to put their capital into Connecticut at a higher rate to create more housing, more quality housing, affordable market, you name it, and we drive out the bad apples. So with that, I'm a no today. Look forward to seeing more discussion on this, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with a couple of items here in this bill, but I also have concern. Here in Hartford, we hear every day complaints about, tenants. And I know that it's not only Hartford. I know it's all over. But the biggest problem that we have here in Hartford is about tenants out of the state. That's the biggest problem that we have. And I think that that's the problem that we have to address that. But, require a landlord to provide a voter registration card. That's not the landlord's thing. That's not me as a landlord. That's not my problem. It's not my business. Why they're going to afford or they're going to require for me to provide a voter registration to the tenant? Then what is going to be next? I'm going to be. Do I have to deliver that card to the voter registration to the office of register of voters? Listen. We got a problem with landlords. But this is not the way to deal with the landlords. We got a problem with the landlords. And I don't know if you're smiling because you find this funny, but for me, this is very serious. Very serious. Landlords, we have to work with the landlords. We want to fix the problem that we have here, not only in Hartford, but all over Connecticut. We have to deal with the landlord. And posing this to the landlord, to give a voter registration? Are we going to force us as a landlord? The landlord are going to force the tenants to register? That's their problem. If they want to register or not. That's also the party problem. The Democrats and the Republicans. They want more voters. Let them go out there and work. But landlords have to provide a voter registration card to the tenants. Come on. We have to be fair here. And I say, I want to work, yes, I want to work with the tenants, I want to work with the landlord, but forcing the landlords to get out of their way to do things that is the political people business or the registered voters business, not them. So I will vote yes for this. I want to listen to the public, but I have the right, reserve the right to change my vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And I just want to make it clear, my reaction was not to your statement. Representative Butler online.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to also state that we should be making it more advantageous for property owners, landlords to do business, because once they're actually making more housing available, there's more housing available to fit the need of the people that are looking for housing. And from estimates I've seen, this is one of the priority items in the state. So we shouldn't make it difficult for people to engage in providing opportunity for tenants to actually rent. And I agree with Representative Gonzalez. The last thing we should ask landlords to do is provide voter registration cards. There's too much conversation, and there's been too many examples of, especially recently, of voter registration cards actually being an issue, and we don't want to actually put it in the hands of somebody who doesn't engage in these activities. As people such as ourselves, elected officials who actually want to see more voters, and we go out there and we encourage members in the public to engage in that kind of activity. That's fine, but to ask landlords to actually handle voter registration cards is not a good idea. I'm going to vote for this bill, and hopefully we can actually tweak it to make it more advantageous for property owners to provide more housing in the state of Connecticut, because that should be our mission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we will vote on item 16 by roll.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 16. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Yes, considering that we work on some of the issues around what my colleagues raised, Representative Gonzalez as well as Representative Butler, around the voter registration and making things much more advantageous for the landlords. So I'll vote yes for now, but I do have some concerns. Thanks.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez,
Yeah, I'm voting yes, but I reserve the right. If we don't tweak this and we don't fix this, I reserve the right to change my vote.
Representative Hall, Senator Hockendahl,
Senator Hockendahl votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
No.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Sweet,
Sweet votes yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
Weir is no.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zula votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 17, an act concerning fair rent commissions. It says fair rent commission membership. I think there was a drafting error. This doesn't have to do anything with membership of a fair rent commission. It has to do with how many fair rent commissions there are in the state of Connecticut and who can have them. So I would amend this to an act concerning fair rent commissions. But regardless, is there a motion? Yes.
Vote yes to the amendment. I mean, to raise the amendment.
Yeah, we can just raise it, right? We don't have to. Yeah, we can just raise it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vote to raise the amendment.
No, it's the concept. We're going to raise the concept.
Vote to raise the concept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Voted and seconded. Any questions or comments? Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My notes say that this proposal would allow multi-town COGs or councils of governments to effectively start participating in establishing fair rent commissions so that smaller towns would participate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Based on that, I'll definitely be a no today. I'm not in favor of fair rent commissions existing to begin with. We have a housing court in this state. We have private contract law, and there's no reason to establish fair rent commissions, period, and to expand them into areas where even very, very small towns that have almost no rentable housing, it just doesn't make any sense in my mind, nor does it make sense to provide another activity for the COGs. So I'm a no. Thank you.
Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Echoing my colleagues' comments, what's the current population threshold to be required to have a fair rent commission? Is it
25,000
25,000?
residents.
So, I mean, currently today, couldn't a smaller, if my town has 10,000, a couple of my neighboring towns have 8, couldn't they voluntarily have a fair rent commission?
Yes.
Yes. So, having a council of government, my fear is, and again, this is where Senator Sampson pointed out maybe 10 minutes ago or so, is what's not listed here. My fear is that we have, the COGs get together and kind of pool these towns together when they could already do this if they wanted to on their own, without any need for a regional authority, overseeing. I think the best government is the local government, right? It's closest to the people, whether that's Hartford or Bridgeport or Naugatuck. Good guess. Naugatuck, right? I mean, that you're working with your neighbors, you're working with your friends, people from the town. And so to offer up here that somehow a council of government, a group of, a town, somebody's gonna come and oversee the Fair Rent Commission and of 3 towns that may make up 25,000. As I pointed out, when they could already do this on their own, a town of 2,500 could take this on if they so wanted. So I'm a no today, and more so for what type of legs this thing's gonna get and how ambitious. I say quite often, we need to proceed cautiously up here in this building because we are rarely accountable for the results once these bills go out the door. We just come back next session and say, we're gonna fix it, and we didn't think of this, or we didn't think of that. And I'm from the mindset that we should go one step at a time and see what the results of our actions are. And so this is one of those things where I foresee, we make a judgment out of here because it sounds good. And we'll be back here fixing this, or we'll be listening to constituent complaints and we won't fix it like some other issues that we're dealing with. So I'm a no today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments? Representative Gonzalez.
I got a question to understand this, so we know that we have Hartford have a fair rent commission and New Haven. But let's say that I live between and I don't have where I live, I don't have a fair rent commission. So that means that I cannot go to New Haven because it's close where I live, or I cannot go to Hartford, it's close where I live. So that means what happened?
At this point, New Haven or Hartford could choose to regionalize with those towns if they would like to. What this bill is doing is taking away any population requirement. And it would say that those that are maybe too small or don't have the capacity to do so can organize through their COGS.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, item 17 will be taken by roll.
This is a roll call vote on agenda item number 17. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott, Senator Sampson,
Sampson is no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Brown is yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockenell,
Senator Hockenell votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Representative Jensen is no.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez is a yes.
Representative Sweet,
Yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
No.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the consent calendar?
Items on the consent calendar, item number 1, number 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14.
The vote will be taken by roll.
This is a roll call vote on the consent calendar. Representative Felipe,
Yes.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Scott,
Yes.
Senator Sampson,
Sampson is yes.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Senator Gaston,
Senator Gaston votes yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Butler,
Representative Butler votes yes.
Representative Corpus, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Hall, Senator Hockenell,
Senator Hockenell votes yes.
Representative Jensen,
Yes.
Senator McCrory, Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez is a yes.
Representative Sweet,
Sweet is yes.
Representative Turco,
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir,
Yes.
Representative Zulo.
Rep. Zulo votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder to everybody that's not here. Votes will be open until 5 p.m. on Zoom. And we will stand in recess. Thank you, everybody.
I'm gonna take her. Calispera. Representative Corpus, can you hear me? I cannot hear you. Let me unmute you really quick.
Yes, how about now?
Got it? Okay. We have a few items for you to vote on today.
Yes,
We
please.
had a consent calendar on items number 1, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, and 14. How will you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Turco?
Representative Turco votes yes.
Representative Weir? I'm sorry, I don't
Yes.
know why there's playback. Representative Zulo?
Rep. Zula votes yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now we have item, excuse me. Item number 2.
to everybody that's not here. Votes will be open until 5 p.m. on Zoom.
I apologize.
recess. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Agenda item number 2. How will you vote?
Rep. Corpus votes no.
No. Item number 3.
Item number 3, Rep. Corpus votes no.
Excuse me, hold on. Item number 6.
Item number 6, Representative Corpus votes no.
Thank you. Flipping through here. Item number 9.
Number 9, I vote no.
Item number 12.
Item number 12, I vote no.
Item number 15.
Number 15, vote no.
Item number 16
Number 16, vote no.
and 17.
Item number 17, vote no.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.